Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking Adoption, and today we're looking at adopting sibling groups of 2 and 3. I am Grace Gomez and I am the Adopters Diversity Recruitment Officer, and I work for PACT Charity and I'm based in the Reading office, and I'm joined today by Nadine.
Hi, I'm Nadine Williams. I'm a senior social worker in PACT and I've worked at PACT for 8 years. Prior to that, my experience was in frontline social work, safeguarding teams, therapeutic intervention with children and families and accompanied minors.
Fantastic, thank you, Nadine. Okay, so first question, Nadine, then. Can you tell me a little bit about the types of children that are waiting for permanent homes?
Yeah, so there's many children waiting for permanent homes, but PACT specialise in harder to place children. And we define harder to place children as children who are older in age, so above the age of 3, children who are Black Caribbean or Black African heritage, children who have additional needs, and also children that are in sibling groups of 2 or 3. And I'd say that out of the children waiting, half of those children are in sibling groups.
That's great, thank you. And so what are the needs of the children?
So children available for adoption have typically been subject to abuse and neglect in their birth families. And so that impacts on their behaviour and on their emotional well-being. And so their needs they can be additional needs in terms of physical disabilities. They can be affected, like I say, through behaviour, by presenting with challenging behaviour. So what we generally advise is that adoptive parents are able to therapeutically parent their child in order to manage those needs, but PACT provide training on that and guidance.
Okay, thank you. So why would you say it's important to keep sibling groups together, and how do the children benefit from this?
For many sibling groups, they are the only people that really understand and have experienced their early life stories. So keeping them together is hugely important with regards to their identity, really, and to allow them to support each other through their journey into adoption. They provide huge support even within their own communities. For example, when they go to school, if they're close in age, they may be the only, they're going to be the only children that know each other in that environment. So yeah, it's imperative really that we try and keep as many sibling groups together as we can.
Okay, thank you. So what would you say the advantages were in adopting sibling groups of children?
There's many. I think for an adoptive parent who, for example, wanted to adopt twice, the adoption process is a long process. We have to be really thorough in our assessment. So if you were wanting to adopt twice and wanting to stagger that, actually adopting siblings would reduce the amount of time it would take to do that. I think also if you've adopted once and you've settled a child into your home, to then adopt another child, a second child or a third child, means having to unsettle your existing child and having to go through that transition again. Obviously the benefits for the children are that they come together and help each other to settle actually with their adoptive parents, and often older children will be aware of their younger siblings' needs, so can actually help an adoptive parent to understand those needs and to meet those needs.
That's good, thank you. So what would you say are the challenges surrounding adopting sibling groups?
I would say the challenges are that adopting a sibling group is extremely time consuming. So I think we would really ask that if 2 parents could be at home for as long as possible together in order to support the needs of those children, it would be really beneficial to them as a family. I think emotional energy as well, having to meet the needs of 2 or 3 different children, and those emotional needs can differ depending on a child's response to what they've been through. So being emotionally resilient and having a really strong support network to draw on is hugely beneficial. Having the space in your home to cater for 2 or 3 children also is one of the challenges. But I think the positives that we outlined really outweigh the challenges of adopting a sibling group.
Okay, thank you. Is there any extra practical or financial help available for anybody adopting sibling groups?
Yeah, so sibling groups of 3 tend to come with an adoption allowance, and that's a financial package provided by the child's local authority, and it's means tested, so it depends on earnings of adopters and incomings and outgoings, but that money is really to support the needs of a larger sibling group, and it's assessed every year. So because obviously adopting a child or two children at age 2 and 5 is very different from 13 and 15. So the children's needs will change, which is why it's reassessed. There's also a settling in fee, particularly when you're adopting, again, a sibling group of 3. It can be really expensive to kind of buy all of the equipment that they need, be that 3 cots or push chairs or car seats. So yeah, they are also can access a settling in fee.
Okay, thank you. And would each child need their own bedroom?
We would advise that if you can provide a child with their own bedroom, it's beneficial. Children do share bedrooms in their foster placement, and so what we tend to do is mirror their care that they had in their foster placement and repeat that in the adoptive home to keep things the same for that child as much as possible. If, for example, it was a sibling group of 3 and 2 shared and 1 had their own bedroom, then we would be trying to repeat that. So 2 spare bedrooms for a sibling group of 3, 1 spare bedroom for a sibling group of 2. Obviously, as children get older, they do need their own space. So it may be that at some point, adopters would need to think about extending their homes to provide them with individual space or moving. But initially, it's not imperative that they have their own room.
Okay, thank you. And can prospective adopters speak to any PAC families who've already gone through the process?
Yeah, so we've got our Adopter Champion service, which is it's run by adopters who have adopted previously and are really, really well experienced in adoption, and that includes adopters who have adopted sibling groups of 2 and 3, and they give a wealth of knowledge, really, particularly on the everyday aspects of parenting a sibling group, and what that looks like in real life, and that's accessible to all of our prospective adopters as and when they need it.
That's great, thank you. And so finally, what can prospective adopters do to prepare? What would you suggest?
So there's lots of things adopters can do to prepare. I think getting lots and lots of experience, hands-on experience with children, particularly more than one child at once if they want to adopt a sibling group, puts them in really good stead to adopt. And I would advise that they did some voluntary work with children with additional needs, just because, looked after children will possibly have an additional need just due to the nature of their early life experiences. And that may not be a physical disability, it may be an emotional or a behavioural challenge that they come with. So having hands-on experience of that is really important. There's lots of reading and research that can be done. There's lots of information on PAC's website that prospective adopters can access. I would advise also coming to PAC's information events, and you can also book an appointment to speak to a social worker at PAC to talk about your individual circumstance and talk through, what adoption might mean for you and your family. I would encourage them to read, to talk to other adopters, to talk to the people in their support network around kind of their views of adoption, and just skill up as much as possible around the needs of looked after children.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's lots more information on our website. You can scan the QR code or go to our website, www.pactcharity.org. We're on Facebook and on social media, and also we've got our YouTube channel, so there's lots more information there. So thank you for joining us, Nadine, and thank you.